Hello, everybody. It's me, producer Ross, and welcome to another edition of the Monday Recap, the show where we round up the weekend's action and look forward to the weekend. Plus, look at news stories that you may have missed. Once again, I'm joined by good old Liam from Crewe, and it wasn't a positive weekend. Let's get to it. So, Liam, another defeat for the Blues, a 2-0 loss at home to Charlton. Your verdict, my friend, it wasn't good again.
Well, I'll just pick you up on the very beginning where you said look forward to the week ahead. There's not a lot to look forward to after last week. Charlton, action replay of Hull, except the scoreline was just one less. Just really frustrating that you've got a team that have basically put some midfielders in as defenders, and we didn't look like really attacking once. Didn't look under pressure at all. Same as Hull in midweek last Tuesday. They didn't have to get out of second gear to beat Town. Did anyone really feel after that first goal that Town were going to get back into it? Not really. I think you look at the injuries. Yeah, that doesn't help. Don't think it's Lambert's fault on the injuries. I've seen some people suggest that, but this has been something that has been at the club for quite a while with different managers. Just for some reason, Town seem to get a much higher number of injuries than other clubs, and I don't know what it is. I've joked about them maybe training on glass at Playford Road. Just seems to be that Town seem to pick up all these injuries, and it isn't helping. But as we said on Thursday night in the main pod, that it's not just the injuries are a smokescreen, and that will probably save his job for a while. But in terms of the way that Town play, it's just not working. There's not enough chances being created. Sluggish, slow, very few chances created. The strikers don't look fit, and because of that, they're not sharp enough to take chances when they do fall to them. And the opposition got an easy run. 2 games against 2 teams. And I said last week it was a defining week. And it is a defining week. It just shows that Town are still the same team as they were last season after what we thought hope was the start that this season would be different. It isn't. Lambert isn't tactically correct. And to be honest, if Town spent 18 years in the Championship going nowhere, well, I think they're going to be the same in League One unless something dramatically changes.
And definitely, of course, that was a big talking point last week, definitely after the Hull City game. Blue Action, the big Issue Town supporter group, they came into action and they brought a banner to the training grounds of the evening on Wednesday with a huge banner at Playford Road saying, Shambo, cheers for the beers, but it's time at the bar. And that was the first big statement from fans to sort of say, Lambert, it's time to go. And, you know, your quick take on this, definitely after the Charlton game, more things went on Twitter and loads of things going on. Probably the first time that we've really gone and said, it's time to go, Lambert. So your thoughts and everything, my friend.
Well, we summed it up on Thursday night. We went into that big discussion about Lambert. We spoke about his tactics. We spoke about his man management. And the only positive that he's actually brought to the club was this PR of getting the club back together and really getting fans back into the ground and getting them connected to the club again. But, yesterday, Sunderland sacked Parkinson, and they are a team that need to get out of it. They've been down here longer than Ipswich, and they want to get out. And they could see that Parkinson just isn't the man to do it, wasn't consistent enough. And Sunderland, ironically, are actually below Town at the moment, albeit I think it's by a point. And to be honest, that's what's needed. They've taken the gamble and gone, look, we don't think he was the right man. we're now going to try and get someone in who is going to get this squad sorted so that we can do it. We can get up or at least be in those playoff places to give us a chance of getting promoted back to the Championship. That's what Ipswich should be doing. They shouldn't be waiting, because in isolation, 2 defeats to 2 teams in the top 6 isn't great. But you'd say, oh, well, there's no need to panic. It's early days. But it's the same as last season. The football hasn't been great and doesn't look like it's going to improve. So the fact of the matter is, it isn't just 2 defeats to Charlton and Hull. This is a longer term issue that's been there now for over a year. We all said that COVID saved his job back in March when the season was curtailed. And it's the same again. COVID will probably save his job for a bit longer with the fans not being in the ground, because you can imagine what Portman Road would have been like after Tuesday, but probably Saturday as well. I mean, are people going to queue up to get them their names in this 2,000 ballot for Portsmouth? A lot of people might. This is the thing that Evans has to now sort out, because people will stop paying their direct debits. And at the time when the club need the money most, if they start hitting his bank balance where he has to start putting more money in to keep the club just floating, then there's no other decision. But in terms of getting out of League One, we all can see it. It's not going to happen under Lambert, and Evans needs to do it. Otherwise, it's going to be too late. And as I said in the first part, Town will just stay floating in the middle of League One and go nowhere.
So we're going to end the Monday recap a bit differently. Me and Liam's connection just wouldn't connect. So Liam's going to come in to share his thoughts on the week ahead. So let's take a look who Town take on. 2 big away trips for Town. Firstly on Tuesday night as they take on Oxford United, who are not doing so well this season, currently sitting in 19th in League One. Last year, they got to the playoff final, which was a surprise to everybody. This year, not doing so well. Well, on Saturday, we take on Plymouth, a long away trip to Plymouth, who are currently sitting 11th in League One, who have just been promoted from League Two, so they're doing all right so far. But Liam, your thoughts? 2 big games. We said last week was big. This week is much bigger.
We said last week that this was a defining week in terms of beating a top 6 side and getting that marquee victory. And they never did it. They failed. This week is different. The pressure's slightly different because this is teams that they should win. But are we confident that they'll do that? No, not really. Oxford are improving, and I fully expect them to get further away from the relegation spots. Probably won't hit the playoffs this season. They have lost a few players after failing to get promoted last season, and have had to rebuild. And I think Carl Robinson has struggled a little bit. They have been hit by COVID a few times where they've had games postponed. So for them, it is a trickier game than you think. But again, in the formula, Town are beating all these teams in the lower half. So you'd expect them to win. But with all the injuries and the way that Lambert's going, I just don't see them being able to beat them. As for Plymouth, well, again, another game you'd expect to win, a newly promoted side, but they've had a really good start, and they're picking up good results against top sides as well. And this is a really long trip, and frankly, again, I just don't see the form of where Town are going to get it, especially with all the players out. So I think we said last week was a defining week. I think this week is a defining week for Lambert in terms of his tenure at the club, because failure to win any of these games and Town will continue to drop, and something eventually has to give for Town to turn it around and continue to be in the playoff and promotion mix.
So there you have it, the end of the Monday recap. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for Liam from Crewe for joining me. Let us know in the comments down below your predictions for the 2 games ahead and your thoughts on the current situation at Town. It would be good to hear from you guys. But I've been producer Ross. Thank you as ever for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.